probably think I might make this my last one. I can't tell you about all of them because some of them some of them similar, the same, having the same experiences and same fun, walking through walls and stuff like that. But check out this one. This is my latest ones, and they kind of different. Okay, on this one right here, and check this out because this is very, very, very interesting. And I need somebody to comment and let me know you've experienced this type of stuff. Check it. Okay, this time I popped up behind a house. It was a world just like this world. Same thing, houses, cars, same old thing. And I popped up behind this house. Now, when I popped up behind the house, I've been doing it so much, I knew right then that I was in another dimension. So, but this time when I popped up, I said, oh, I'm finna go have some fun. So I tried to take off to have fun like I normally do. But when I took off this time, I noticed when I tried to move, I went to fading away from the existence. So I let go, everything came back. Then I tried to take off again, and I went to fading away again. And I stopped and I relaxed and let go, everything came back. And then I was like, what's going on? And then a voice said, you gotta let go. So I said, okay, let go. So I was letting go. And the voice came again and said, you gotta let all the way go. So I let all the way go. Let myself go all the way. And all of a sudden, booyah, something just went to moving me on his own. So I was floating around on my own. I was like, okay, boom, this must gonna be something like a ride or something. So I'm just gonna go for this ride. I'm quite sure I'm gonna learn something. So I'm just gonna see what I'm gonna learn on this ride. So as I'm floating, and I realized, okay, I'm not riding on nothing. This is how I'm floating around. So as I'm floating around, I noticed I'm just floating. So I started floating down, and I noticed that I was eye level with the grass. So I'm like, where my body at? So I was like, my body in the ground? So I floated through the fence. It was a fence right there. I floated through the fence. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I'm floating through stuff. I'm like, and I floated back in the backyard, and I'm when I was a little kid, I used to like to turn flips. So I'm floating through the air, so I said, I'm gonna do a flip. So when I did the flip, that's when I kind of noticed like a smoky silhouette or something of myself. Because at that point, I felt like I was this light or something. I felt like just an energy bulb or something, like a light. Just that's what I felt like, just a light. So after I got through playing and having fun in the backyard, floating around through the grass and through the fence, I started floating around the house to go around the front of the house. As I'm floating and going around the front of the house, I noticed that across the street there's an apartment complex where it was a parking lot where this gray truck was sitting, and it was these two guys. Like the one guy had just walked the other guy out the house, but I guess because he was standing at the door with his back against the door. The other guy was standing by the barbecue grill like he was getting ready to leave, but they were still conversating. And it was like one of those apartments where they got just the one little slab step when you step out the door, and they had a barbecue grill right beside that step. It was a light skinned guy and this little short, stubby looking guy standing by the grill. So when I seen them, I said to myself, how would I want to go over there where they at? How would I do it? Because I'm so letting go. And all I did was just had the intent. I just put my attention over there, and my orb just went to floating that direction. I was like, wow. So I floated toward them, and I floated over the gray truck, and I floated over to them. And I'm gonna tell you now, at this point, by me realize I'm this light orb, for some reason I don't think they can see me. So when I floated over to where they were, I floated to the guy that was leaning against the barbecue grill first, that was standing in front of the barbecue grill, the chubby dude. So I floated over to him first. When I floated over to him, by me, they didn't think they can see me. I wanted to see will I gonna go through him. So when I floated over to him, now remind you, I'm looking right here because somehow when I got ready to see that float through him, I formed a hand formed. So I went to pushing on his chest to see was my hand gonna go through, but I noticed his body was moving like that. Now keep in mind, I'm looking at see my hand gonna go through. But when I seen his body doing that, that's when I looked up at him. And he was looking down at me, smiling. And I was like, wow, he can see me. So I begged above him. And then when I looked over at the guy that was standing at the door, by that time he had sat down on the door step with his back against the door. I floated right over to it in front of his face. He was looking at me. So I had to ask, can you see me? So when I started to say, can you see me? It came out like this. I couldn't say it like, can you see me? It came out like, can you see? It was hard as I don't know why. I couldn't say, can. It was just how it came out. It was hard to talk. So every time I tried to say something like, can, I was fading from the dimension. So when I first started trying to ask him, I said, can, and I seen I was fading away, I let go. Everything came back clear again. And I said, no, I gotta ask him. So I kissed, can you see me? Like that. And let me remind you that every time I was speaking and I was fading from the dimension, the more and more I kept saying, can you see me? The more and more I was fading from the dimension. And I can feel myself speaking while I was laying down, and I could feel my body talking too where I was laying down at. So by the time I got, as I was saying, can you see me? Let me tell you, remind you now, I'm looking dead in his face as I'm saying this. And as I was fading from a dimension, his face went to looking distorted. The more I fade, the more his face was looking distorted and crazy looking. And by the time I got to me, I could see like snake looking scales around the bottom of his mouth because it was getting distorted. The more and more I was talking, the worse it was getting. But at the end, by the time I got to me, I started to see the scales, the snake scales around this part of his face. And by the time I said me, I let go again. And when I let go, everything came back clear. He came back to be the little cute, light-skinned guy he was. And he shook his head, yeah, that he can see me. And that really freaked me out. Like, wow, they see me. And that was the first time I experienced being this light being that was just flying around. But what freaked me out was that I was amongst people that had physical bodies. And evidently, whatever timeline or whatever dimension I was in, light beings and physical beings are co-acting together. Because they could see me and I could see them, and we was co-acting, but I wasn't like them. And I'm gonna let that be. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Macadocious multidimensional experiences. And I hope that these experiences may help others to understand something that they may be looking to understand. Namaste.